recording. We're here to arrest a child sex offender. And you guys are out here honking.
Oh, they're not. No, we're press. We're not
That
honking.
vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting. Insane.
Renee good! Renee good! Renee good! Renee good! Justice for Renee good! Justice for Renee good! Hands up! Hands up! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Hey, yo, what's up, guys? So, we got to talk about what's going on in Minneapolis because things are getting crazier and crazier as days go by. And at the forefront of all this are the left wing activists who absolutely have nothing better to do with their time. These people are protesting, rioting on behalf of illegal migrants, and it's now escalated to the point where they're invading a Minneapolis church.
So, this is what the First Amendment is about the freedom to protest. I'm sure people here don't like it, but protests are not comfortable. And there are people here who are, I'm looking at a young man who's in the corner, he's frightened, he's scared, he's crying, people are leaving church. Perhaps they should come in, pray together, and talk together. But anyways, that's the middle of it. If I were the pastor, I would offer a prayer. I would try to calm things down and say, listen, talk to you. We're all citizens. We're all believers and Christians. What do we do? Or if, I don't know if everybody is, but everybody's a human being. Let's work together and talk about these things. The pastor, there's one of the members who looks to be really upset, a young person. The pastor's trying to calm him down over there. And yeah, so there you go. You're a member of the church?
What's that?
You're a member of the church?
I do.
How do you feel about this?
I don't necessarily agree with everything that's going on in the Twin Cities right now, but I don't think it's good to fight fire with fire. I think it's good to speak up, and I think it's good to protest, but I think it's better to do it in a peaceful way. I don't think the answer is going into God's church.
You don't think this is peaceful?
Well, it's trespassing.
Nobody fighting.
It's trespassing. How would you feel if I went into your house and I started yelling?
It depends on what I did, but not in my house. That's a whole different thing. I think these people would go inside of anybody's house.
This is a house of God.
Which makes it everybody's house.
Yes, it is. But in a house, people don't yell at each other.
Yeah, but there's a lot of yelling in my house growing up. We still loved each other.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that yelling is the answer, right?
I'm sorry?
That doesn't necessarily mean yelling is the answer, right?
No, but I think it's the way you work things out is that you talk to each other, you disagree. Sometimes it's heated, sometimes it's not. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And I think maybe if the pastor would try to calm things down and say, let's all talk together and make this peaceful and not be so us against them.
I think that it's good to talk, but then why don't we do that, right?
Yeah.
I don't think trespassing, I think protesting on the streets is fine, but I think there's a difference between that and then going into someone's property and then yelling.
How do you feel about allegedly, according to the protesters here, there's a member of ICE who is a pastor here or is a member of the clergy?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
A member of the clergy or a pastor here works with ICE, and that's why they're upset.
I didn't know that.
Allegedly, I don't know. That's what they say.
Okay, well, I would say before just ramming into a church, maybe it'd be good to get some more information first. Yeah. But you said talking is the answer, right? Yeah.
So it's alleged that one of the pastors here at this Minneapolis church was working with ICE, and that was the cause of this invasion. And this former disgraced CNN host, Don Lemon, thinks the First Amendment gives these protesters a right to invade a church in the middle of a sermon. That's not what the First Amendment is about. It doesn't cover rioters barging into private property to protest. Okay, so now take a look at this clip here of Don Lemon trying to lecture a pastor on the First Amendment after a mob of leftists invaded his church.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay,
my
but listen, we live there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
Yeah. We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
Honestly, I don't blame the guy. He probably knows that Don has an affinity for white men.
Here to worship Jesus.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship.
Yeah.
We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
These people have come into our house and they've interrupted our worship. This is a house of peace, and we try to proclaim that. And this stirs division and rancor. And in the end, it's not helpful. Ultimately, I believe they've lost. They've emptied a house of worship. Everybody's gone home. Their point has been proven worthless. And so, in the end, I think they lose. But more importantly, if I was to break into any of their houses uninvited, cause derision and upset according to their values, I would be kicked out ultimately. It's not a good way. I feel violated. I feel interrupted. I feel angry.
May I ask you something? When you were saying if you had showed up at their house, they're saying that people are showing up at houses where they're citizens
Yes.
or without due process
Yes.
and breaking and entering a house.
Yes.
One that we saw, I've been watching from New York, with a battering ram into someone's private property, and
Yes.
there's no recourse.
Yes.
There's no, you understand what I'm saying?
This is all part of a much larger dialogue, in my opinion. On one side are people who watched a previous administration bring 12 million people in over the course of 4 years, and many of them undocumented, many of them criminals, etc. This is another administration's corrective. Now, whether you agree with the policies or procedures, I think I could actually be sympathetic to some of the things where there have been challenges to action and deed.
Like, you have to be a certain level of scum to go to a place of worship to create utter chaos. These are ordinary people who are there just to pray to God. And you barge in to protest inside of a church? Like, who does that? And then you have idiots like Don Lemon trying to gaslight everyone he's interviewing, saying that this is all covered under the First Amendment. No, it's not. Anyways, listen to this guy trying to justify everything under the guise of journalism.
MAGA administration and the fake news MAGAs are losing their mind over something that's not even true. So let me just make it clear, because this assistant attorney general, I don't know, what's her name? Something Hammett, Dillon or whatever. So I had no affiliation to that organization. I didn't even know they were going to this church until we followed them there. We were there chronicling protests. Once the protest started in the church, we did an act of journalism, which was report on it and talk to the people who were involved, which included the pastor, members of the church, and members of the organization. That's it. It's called journalism. First Amendment, all that stuff. For all of you people who believe in the First Amendment, absolutist, there you go. So why don't you talk to the actual person who is in charge of the organization and whose idea it was to have the protests at the church before you start blaming me for stuff for which you have no idea. Thank you for your attention to this matter.